woof. Woof is probably the one word that I can use to describe this entire game because, oh my god, that was brutal. That was probably one of the worst games I've seen in a while from this team. This is probably the worst game of the season that this team has played. I mean, after that first period, you go up 2-0. You're establishing your forecheck well. You look like the completely better team. You're thinking to yourself, oh, 2-0 after the first period. This is going to be an easy night. You know, the Flyers are going to shut things down. They maybe pop one or two more goals in. It's going to be an easy night for the boys. And then it just does a complete 180. Complete 180 in the other direction. Because Flyers looked like a completely different team coming out in that second period. Capitals completely took over the game, and the Flyers couldn't do anything about it. As soon as the Capitals, make it a one-goal game, a face-off draw that you bring in Sean Couturier in for, he loses it, Caps win it, Tom Wilson sets up Ovechkin right in the face-off circle. Absolute snipe by Ovi. That's just what Ovi does. Cuts the lead in half. That just allowed Washington to keep going. And then it felt like every goal was just a complete defensive breakdown. Second goal that Washington scored, Ersson stops the initial breakaway. Flyers can't get the puck out of the zone. And then just Sonny Milano is just allowed to do whatever he wants because the Flyer in front of the net, I believe it was Sean Walker or Nick Sealer. It was one of the two because that pairing had a brutal game tonight. And I'll get into those two specifically a little bit later on because there's been a lot more rumors circling around those two, specifically Sean Walker and Nick Sealer, in terms of the trade market / re-sign extension thing that's been rumored for the past couple of weeks here. And as we're getting closer and closer to the trade deadline, those rumors are going to be circling around a lot more. So we'll definitely get into that a little bit later here. But Sonny Milano just basically doing what he wants to do down there, and then he flutters a puck over Ersson. It was, I guess he batted the puck, and the puck bounced high into the air and just managed to float over Ersson's arm and into the net. So a very fluky goal, which manages to tie the game up. And then just as the period goes along, another defensive breakdown late in the period. And this is where, everything trends on Twitter with John Tortorella, where after the Flyers get a late power play, they seem to get something going on the power play. They can't cash in, and then Washington goes down the other end when clearly that second unit of the power play that was still out there for a little bit of an overextended shift. Washington pounces on it. They get a net mount scramble. They throw a puck from the point onto the net. I believe it was from Mantha. And then John Carlson, who's below the blue paint, below the red line, manages to wrap it around the net and then in because Ersson got stuck on his other post. And then you see on the aftermath of the goal, freaking John Tortorella going ballistic, psychotic on the bench, which looked like it was to be at Bobby Brink. And when you look on the replay, yes, you could definitely make the argument that Bobby Brink completely, I guess, disregarded the defensive situation there, the defensive assignment of that goal scored by John Carlson. But then you also got to look at the other four Flyers that are just completely puck watching and not really doing anything. You got Paling tying up a guy in front of the blue paint. Then you got two other guys that are staring at the guy, John Carlson, behind the net from the other side. And yes, Bobby Brink, if he gets down low, if he gets to that post right before Carlson gets around to the wraparound, yeah, the goal definitely gets prevented. And I know people wanted to bring up, if Bobby Brink leaves that assignment and goes to the post, that leaves Alex Ovechkin wide open on the right side for just an open shot if he gets the puck. Yeah, it's not guaranteed he gets the puck. If Bobby Brink gets over there to where Carlson is, maybe he deflects the puck into the corner, and then it turns into a board battle. So I can understand Torts being irate at Bobby Brink, but it also did look like that he was pissed off just because it looked like it was more directed towards Lixel and Brink at the same time, to where those two specifically were on a very overextended shift, and he wanted those guys to get off the ice. And I think, then it eventually led to the goal, and he just got completely irate, and then those two got benched the rest of the game. Look, I know a lot of people are frustrated right now with this team, especially, with all the rumors going on about, Sealer and Walker that really, drove up the panic button for Flyers Twitter, because apparently, when we go a full few months here of a season where Flyers Twitter is actually peaceful, now that a trade deadline, now Flyers Twitter is back into an irate, really just toxic center where no one can really seem to agree on anything. It's a really toxic place. It could definitely get up there with a really annoying bunch of Philadelphia sports Twitter, especially when Flyers fans are pissed. But this people were definitely very mad at Tortorella for benching Brink the rest of the game. Look, Torts has guys that get into his doghouse. Brink is obviously one of those guys, and Brink hasn't earned enough of Tortorella's trust for him to trust him. Regardless if he has scored a couple of goals since getting called up, yes, his offense should be relied upon, and I think he could definitely be one of your better playmakers as he continues to develop in this league. And yes, for a team that does lack the ability to create plays and all that stuff, offensive drive and all of that stuff, I think, yes, benching Bobby Brink definitely hurts you in that aspect, but the guy needs to learn. The guy needs to learn. He needs to be able to recognize in that situation, tired or not, if he's on an overextended shift or not, you got to be able to help your goaltender out in that situation, because he was clearly stuck on his post and he wasn't able to get over to the other post for the wraparound. And Bobby Brink does need to realize that. And then just basically the game just completely goes downhill from there. You think the Flyers can maybe find a way to spark something in that third period, but, take one too many bad penalties. And in that third period, too, the refs missed a lot of calls on Washington. There was an obvious trip again on, Paling that wasn't called. There was a high stick on Forrester that wasn't called, so the refs definitely didn't help out a bunch there, even though it wasn't a difference in the game because the Flyers' power play sucks regardless, even though, ironically, they did score a power play goal in this game, but still, power play still sucks. But they just really weren't able to garner anything, and the Capitals get a power play, and once again another turnover behind the net. York, I don't know, the puck just dies on the boards, and puck doesn't go anywhere, and Washington pounces on it, and Mantha's wide open in the slot for a one-timer, goes right past Ersson, and basically that was the game from there. Then Dylan Strome cashed in later on in the game after basically another breakdown. The Flyers are trying to take risks, and one player goes down the ice. Ersson makes the save, and then a rebound pounces out to a wide open Dylan Strome, who basically just uncontested and manages to bury it. That's basically it. Just can't happen. Can't happen. It really is unacceptable for you to go up 2-0, for you to look that good in the first period. After Bobby Brink gets the first goal of the game after a nice drive rush by Owen Tippett, and, Bobby Brink manages to bury in the loose change, and then Owen Tippett on the power play with a beautiful shot. You just can't collapse like that, especially in these divisional games, because the more you lose these divisional games, the more they matter as you get down to the closer part till the end of the season, and that could definitely decide on a playoff spot. And especially, with the way the Metropolitan is this year, the Metropolitan is not getting a wild card spot. The Metropolitan is not as good as a division as it used to be. It is not as good as a division as the Atlantic Division is. The Atlantic Division is getting both of those wild card spots. So, those top 3 spots in the Metro, they're a dime a dozen at this point. And yes, I've stated my opinion in the past that I don't think the Devils are good enough to catch up to the Flyers. I don't think the Penguins are good enough to catch up to the Flyers. Neither do I think the Capitals are, but when you're going up against in these interdivisional matchups, you got to win these games. And you lost this game against Washington, you lost the Sunday game against Pittsburgh, and you lost the outdoor game against the Devils. You win those games, you give yourself a little bit more breathing room, especially since these teams do have games in hand on you. And the schedule does not get any easier from here. Once you start getting into that gauntlet, you got to start winning these games. And especially, now that you play a back-to-back tomorrow, back in the Wells Fargo Center, tomorrow night, Claude Giroux and the Ottawa Senators, I believe they won after coming back down from 3-0 against the Coyotes. So I don't know what Ottawa's going to be capable of. They've definitely given you fits this year. They're not a good team, but they've given you fits this year. So I have no idea what's going to happen. Is Claude Giroux going to score 5 points? I don't know. Most likely Felix Sandstrom is going to be the starter in tomorrow night's game because, Peterson gets sent down. And yeah, Sandstrom's numbers are no better, but he can't be worse than fucking Peterson, right? I would hope so. So I don't know what to expect from tomorrow. They're missing Konechny. They are desperately missing Travis Konechny. and I don't know when he's going to be back. Danny Briere did talk during the game, I believe, at some point. Charlie O'Connor and some other Flyers insiders were putting stuff from Danny Briere. They're saying, I believe they said that he hoped to have Travis Konecny back by this week, possibly by next Thursday's game or something like that. So I hope to God that they can get Konecny back at sooner rather than later, just because they're missing him. Because there just hasn't been a guy really that just hasn't stepped up with the loss of Konecny. Owen Tippett scores here and there. Tyson Forster has been a nice, since coming back from the injury. But Joel Farabee has been invisible. He hasn't scored in like 13 plus games. Sean Couturier really has not been good in this second half of the season. And I think, now the, not playing hockey for 2 full seasons in a row, I think it's coming back to haunt him. I think it's finally starting to catch up with him, and I think he's coming back down to earth in that regard, regardless of how good he was in the first half of the season. And I know a lot of people now are trying to knock Sean Couturier and put that extra pressure on him just because now he's wearing the captaincy, but people do need to realize that Sean Couturier was 100% going to come back down, and eventually something was going to give after not playing hockey for that long. Anybody who doesn't play hockey for that long, especially in the NHL, it's going to come back, and they're eventually going to feel that grind, especially when you're getting into the backstretch of the season. Anybody's going to feel that. I'm trying not to put on this type of pedestal. I was going to say Sidney Crosby, but then Sidney Crosby just defies time and space that he would probably figure up something out there. I'm just trying to find a guy that, just any good player in the league that misses a couple of years, they're going to eventually feel the effects of that. And if you just look at Sean Couturier over the years, and he hasn't played a full season since 2018, 2019. That was the last full season he played. He played in 80 games. 2018, 2019. 2019, 2020, that year was shortened because of the COVID, everything that happened there when COVID started. And then you get the shortened COVID season. And then you get the season when he first got the back surgery. He played in 22 games, and then he was out the rest of the year. Got that back surgery. He was gone. And then he missed the entirety of last season with the second back surgery. So, yeah, he hasn't played a full season in quite some time. It's just something was going to give with Couturier. And a lot of people want to bring up all the contract and all that stuff. I think Coots will be fine as he gets more back under his legs. I definitely think he'll be fine next season when he gets a full season of training and building that, strength back up, getting that conditioning back up. I think Coots will be fine in that regard. I think he's just feeling it right now. Granted, yes, it's not helping the team, and yes, granted, there's no excuses whatsoever, but I'm just trying to put it into a mindset where you can understand why Sean Couturier is probably struggling and not playing his best hockey. I could definitely see that, but I still need more from other guys. I need more from Joel Farabee. I need more from Morgan Frost. I need more consistent goal scoring from Owen Tippett, especially, even Tyson Forster, even though he has scored 3 goals in a 2-game span, or 4 goals in a 2-game span, 3-game span, whatever it was. I need more goal scoring from him. I need more production from Sanheim. I need more production from York. I'm trying to go down a list as well. I need more from Scott Laughton. Even though that point streak was nice, I can't have him going quiet. I just need more guys stepping up. If you are, serious about making the playoffs, and this team has stated many times they want to make the playoffs, if you're serious about that, other guys need to step up for Travis Konecny. Other guys need to. That is the bottom line there. And they're obviously missing TK's energy. They're missing his goal-scoring ability. They're missing that energy that he brings. He's a major energy guy. And Torch trusts him a lot, even though, Torch has stated many times that TK does certain things that drives him crazy, but he's your best player, and you're going to allow him to get away with that stuff because he is your best player. You have to let him do his thing. And they're definitely missing that aspect from TK's game, and no one really has been able to fulfill that void. And I think they're lacking that in certain aspects. It just sucks. It does. When you go up with 2-0, you should be able to close out a game against a team like the Washington Capitals because they're not that good of a team. They're just not. And when you lose that game and you lose it in this type of fashion, you got to find a way to bounce back tomorrow. You better do. And you're going to need a lot of help in that regard because, backup. You can't even though Sandstrom can't be as worse as Cal Peterson. I'm sure there's not a big trust in Felix Sandstrom. I just don't think there is. I just don't think there is. John Tortorella on Bobby Brink, Ali Lixell, and if he considered playing them in the third period. Not after that stupidity. He and Lix weren't seeing the ice again. So, yep. Exactly. Definitely was not seeing the ice again after that stuff. What else? 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 I'll get to the Sean Walker stuff in a little bit here, and the Sealer stuff. What else? I'm trying to see if there's any more quotes post game and stuff. Anything that stands out from Torch? Probably really isn't. Don't think there is. No, I don't see anything else here. Don't see anything else here. So let me get to some of the stuff regarding Sealer and Sean Walker. Most of the stuff is from Anthony DeMarco of the fourth period, so you guys should definitely check him out there on Twitter. He definitely has some good stuff on the Flyers. I'm trying to see when all this stuff really started picking up, because we did see the Tanev trade happen a couple of days ago, or actually yesterday, to the Dallas Stars. So that really opened up a lot of things for the trade market. So we're basically just seeing a lot of things. And also the Toronto Maple Leafs traded for Lyubushkin from the Anaheim Ducks. So there definitely is a little less defense on the market. So that should open up a lot of things for guys, like possible of a Sean Walker trade, possibility of a Nick Sealer trade. But, there's a lot of things that we need to look at here. So this first tweet was from 13 hours ago from Anthony DeMarco. As defensemen continue to come off the board, there are 6 teams in on Sealer and Sean Walker, including the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton, this is from David Pagnotta of the fourth period. Edmonton's 2024 first-round pick is in play, and I'm told they discussed packaging it with a roster player to another club for a defenseman to upgrade their blue line. No decision has been made yet from the Oilers. And then eventually started coming the contract stuff. Contract negotiations. This was 9 hours ago, so this was during this afternoon, this morning. Contract negotiations with Walker and Philadelphia have gained traction. While the two sides seem to be close on AAV, the term is a point of contention. Players' camp is pushing for 5 years, something the Flyers are reluctant to do at this point. And then he also updated 4 hours ago on the Sean Walker front. I wouldn't expect an extension or a trade until Sunday at the earliest. So it definitely could be a very quickly here. Sunday is only a few days away. Tomorrow is Saturday. Today is Friday, March 1st. And yeah, that definitely could change on a dime. The trade deadline, I believe, is next Thursday or next Friday. I believe it's the 8th. Yes, it's next Friday. Next Friday, March 8th. So it's definitely later than usual on this state. And I think Charlie O'Connor did also put his 2 cents into the Sean Walker extension / trade rumors. Let me see. I think he tweeted this. So this is all. I'm trying to go through all the game stuff here. Here we go. So this is 8 hours ago from Charlie O'Connor. What I've recently heard on the Sean Walker situation is as followed. The two sides have swapped contract numbers and have a good understanding of where each other stands. Flyers are still weighing trade offers and deciding which route to take. No contract signing is imminent. So right now, I really can't gauge anything. I really can't gauge anything. But I will put my 2 cents in here. If Sean Walker does get extended, I will be irate. I will be mad. I will be thinking to myself, are we being lied to? Are being lied to by Danny Briere and Keith Jones? Because there's no reason in hell that Sean Walker should not be traded. Sean Walker, yes, he's been having a career season. He's been playing fantastic hockey. He definitely wasn't the main thing brought back from the Ivan Provorov trade with, that whole thing with the Los Angeles Kings and the Columbus Blue Jackets. The main thing was, the draft picks, getting Cal Peterson. The main thing was the draft picks, and I believe the rookie defenseman or something like that they have playing down in Lehigh Valley. Sean Walker definitely wasn't the main piece. He was one of the throw-ins with Cal Peterson. And yes, he's having a career year. You got to cash in on that. You definitely got to cash in on that. And I don't know what the value is for Sean Walker. I still think if you find the right thing and the right team that's desperate enough, they'll definitely give up a first-round pick, especially, from the thing that David Pagnotta said about, Edmonton's willing to give up a first-round pick. There's teams out there that would probably want a Sean Walker just from how good of a season that he's having, especially, with the case that he's a right-shot defenseman, and those are rare commodities in the NHL, and teams value that a lot. I know Tanev, in certain situations, he didn't get a first-round pick, but there's also been talk around that trade that Calgary valued more getting the prospect and the abundance of picks rather than a late first-round pick, possibly, from, I believe it was the Dallas Stars. So they valued the prospect, they valued the second-round pick and whatever other pick they got, instead of getting that late first-rounder. Danny Briere, they're still holding high on their value for Sean Walker. They still want at least a first-round pick in return. I don't know what's going to happen. You shouldn't be re-signing Walker if to what he wants and what's rumored out there. If he wants this long-term 5-year plus deal extension, no, I'm not giving that I'm not giving that to fucking Sean Walker. I am not giving that to fucking Sean Walker. You can gladly kick yourself out of the goddamn door. Fantastic season for yourself, but no. And if that's the case, I will definitely have many questions in regards to Danny Briere and Keith Jones and the direction that they are trying to go into. Because they're stressing rebuild. You don't re-sign Sean Walker to that number. I can understand signing Owen Tippett, young player, part of the future for this team. I can understand re-signing Travis Konecny. I can understand those two guys. You don't re-sign Sean Walker. You don't re-sign Sean Walker, especially when he's having a career season, and which basically will be the outlier of his entire career. You trade on that. You trade at the highest value you could possibly get, even if it's a second-round pick. Even if it's a second-round pick, you got to cash in on that value because his value probably won't be higher than it ever was. It won't be. And I know there's also talks about possibly trading both Walker and Sealer as a pair, and I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it at all. It's just the fact that really this next week and a half is really what's going to dictate. I wouldn't say week and a half, it's just next week in general because there is exactly a week. Until the trade deadline. So, yeah. Definitely not the prettiest games. It was a very ugly game, finishing it off. And, yeah. It sucks on that front that they were able to blow that lead. And here comes my cat. Hello, Shoko. Hello. So, yeah. I think when she pops up, I think that's the call to as she rubs on the mic. Hello. And now she's going to walk on across everything. I think that's the time to call this video off here because now she almost ended the video. So, yeah, guys. I think that's where I'm going to end it here. So, thank you guys for tuning into this video. Shoko, please stop knocking everything off. Oh, God, she's going crazy. But, yeah. Actually, I don't know why I'm trying to end this off. We do have a voicemail here. God damn it, Shoko, you freaking distracted me. God damn it. I'm not ending it off here. We're getting to a voicemail, then we'll end it off. Ay. God damn it, cat distracts me. God damn it. I love her to death. She distracted me. Let's get to the voicemail hotline here from Sean, and then we'll end off the video. Sean, what do you got?
An emphatic, systematic, well-deserved L for the Flyers tonight. I mean, just a game where even though they were winning 2-0 in the first period, just looked like they had no legs. I mean, other than Owen Tippett, I can't think of anybody in the offensive zone that created anything or looked dangerous at all. It was like they were skating in quicksand all night. And how about the night for Bobby Brink? From the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, scoring a goal early, nearly getting the breakaway, and then getting beat so bad in your defensive zone that you're benched for the entire third period, along with Ole Lycksell. I mean, Jim Jackson said it best at the end of the game. It was a golden opportunity that the Flyers let slip through their fingers, but they truly did not deserve to win this game tonight. Once Ovechkin scored, the Capitals dominated that game. They hung Ersson out to dry, and they deserve to walk away with nothing.
I agree. And people wanted to put a blame on Ersson. Like, seriously, every time the Flyers lose a game and Ersson allows a few goals, they always have to bring up he's not a number one goaltender. That's just the reality of Flyers fucking Twitter at that point, and it annoys me to the nth degree. It just does. But yeah, they left Harrison out to dry. They didn't deserve to win this game. And now when you look at the standings, after tonight's game, Washington is now 4 points behind you in the standings with 2 games in hand. You're 31, 23, and 7. They're 28, 22, and 9. The Devils, they're 5 points behind, and they play the Anaheim Ducks tonight, so that is not a guaranteed loss for the Devils. They beat San Jose the other night. That's not a guaranteed loss for the Devils, regardless of how little I think of them. The Islanders, they're 5 points behind you with 2 games in hand. So the Devils, the Islanders, and the Capitals, they all have 2 games in hand. The Pittsburgh Penguins, it looks like they have 5 games in hand on you, and they're 7 points behind you, so there's something to that. The Penguins, they're on their West Coast road trip, so we'll see how it goes for them. But yeah, you left one slip. You let one slip because obviously you're not catching up to Carolina. You're not catching up to the Rangers, obviously. So this third place in the Metropolitan is up for grasps, especially with the wild card standings, because Washington's 5 points behind Tampa Bay for the second wild card spot. Devils, they're 6 points behind. The Islanders are 6 points behind. So really, it's even though these guys can fight for these wild card spots, the Capitals got 3 games in hand on Tampa Bay. Same thing with the Devils. Same thing with the Islanders. It's really they're looking for that third place in the Metro Division. That's what they're looking for. Yeah, the wild card could be in reach for those teams, but realistically, they're trying to catch up to the Flyers for that third place spot. And you just let something really majorly slip. You just did. Can't happen, man. Especially in these divisional games. Got Ottawa tomorrow, and I'm just looking for the rest of the season in terms of teams that you still got to play. You play Washington one more time. You play the Devils one more time. Islanders, I believe you play at least twice. No, you play the Islanders one more time. So in terms of the standings right there, you'd play those teams at least one more time. Washington once, Devils once, Islanders once, and all those games are in April. Devils and Capitals especially, they're the last 2 games of the year at home in the Wells Fargo Center. Those are going to be 2 important games in terms of possibly making the playoffs or not. And I've always thought this thing was going to come down to the wire. Nothing was ever going to be set in stone. You just made it more difficult for yourselves, though. You definitely did, especially now with the rest of the schedule going into the month of March. Ottawa tomorrow, St. Louis on Monday. Then you go off for 2 days. You're on your Florida road trip, Florida and Tampa Bay. In between, that's the trade deadline, and then you got your big gauntlet. 2 games against Toronto, 2 games against Boston, another game against Florida, Rangers on the road, Carolina on the road. Doesn't get any easier from here. You let a big one slip, you got to find a way to bounce back. No excuses. So, that'll do it for tonight, everybody. This time I'm actually ended off the video. No cat interruptions. So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. Also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Thanks guys for joining tonight. I'll see you next time.